Transfer window is approaching, and I've already started speaking with clubs to understand what kind of profiles they are looking for and how they want to receive those profiles. And one thing is becoming very clear to me. Clubs are actively looking, but they are also receiving a lot of names, a lot of videos, a lot of messages, a lot of links. And when that happens, the way a player is presented can make a big difference. Before, it was almost enough to send the player's name and the club the player played for and the highlights video. But today, clubs are asking much more than that. They want to see the highlights. Yes, of course they do, but they also want to see the full match footage. They want to see the recent games. They want stats. And now, more and more, they are asking for the physical data as well. The speed, the distance covered, the high intensity runs, the physical reports, the injury history, the players' availability, because even though scouting platforms, they have a lot of information about the players, not everything is accessible from the club side. And some information, especially the physical information, is very important because that can be a factor for their decision making. So if a player has access to this kind of data, it should be part of their CV, because clubs are not only trying to understand if the player is talented, they are trying to understand the full profile. And from the agent's perspective, there's another important part as well. How is the player socially? How do they behave? How do they communicate? How do they carry themselves? What does their social media say about them? Because today, the player is not only being analyzed by what they do on the pitch, their image, their behavior, and how they present themselves also matter. And this is something the players need to understand. You are looking for an opportunity, but information is key. If an agent doesn't have enough information about you, it's like trying to sell a car without knowing the features. You know the name and the brand, and in football that would be the player's name and the clubs they played for, but that is not enough, because how are you supposed to properly offer a player if you don't know those details? And it becomes even more frustrating when you ask the player for the information and they don't share it, because the player also plays a big part in the market, not by performing only, not by scoring goals, not only by having minutes, but also by documenting their journey properly, by keeping their CV updated, by keeping their videos organizing, by knowing their stats, by understanding that what makes them different. Because clubs are being bombarded with players, especially now with the transfer window approaching. And if your profile doesn't get the club's attention, it's not because of your quality, but it's because the way your information is presented that might not be seen. And that is the part many players don't think about. Sometimes it's not that the club didn't like you. Sometimes they didn't even have enough information to properly consider you. And this is where Stadio Social comes in, because it helps players structure their profile in one place. So you have your CV, your videos, your information, your social presence, the parts that data alone doesn't always tell. And for me, this is very important, because most clubs are saying, send me the profile on WhatsApp. But if I send 10 different messages with 10 different links, with 10 different videos, with 10 different informations, things can easily get lost, especially when the person is receiving hundreds of profiles. So having everything organized in one place makes the process cleaner, more professional, and easier for the clubs to review. And this is what I want players to understand. The transfer window is not only about waiting for the opportunity. It's also about being ready when the opportunity comes, because the market moves fast, and if your profile is not ready, someone else's profile is.